Today's main event, how to gift free hotel nights. So sometimes you want to give someone a present, and sometimes the best present of all is to give them travel. And so we're going to talk about ways you can gift people your free hotel nights that you've earned through earning points, earning free night certificates, and so on as part of our main event.
Yeah, I love this topic because this is a fun thing to give to someone. You can give them a sort of a fun experience, and it also has outsized value, right? Because the points might be relatively easy for you to earn, but worth quite a bit to the recipient. So it's also, a gift that enables you to be more generous, perhaps. But don't forget, if you want to find direct links to the different timestamps, you want to jump ahead to a segment or you want to come back to it again, you can always find those in the show notes, expand the description box, wherever it is you're watching or listening. And please don't forget to like this video, give us a thumbs up, leave us some feedback, and give us your thoughts about gifting hotel free night certificates and points. We always love to hear from you. All right, let's drag out this week's giant mailbag.
Today's giant mail comes from Ted. This was in response to my post, Hilton Honors is winning me over, but I'd like one more enhancement. In that post, I kind of raved about how I was more interested than ever at collecting Hilton points and free night certificates. And that's mostly because they added the small luxury hotels of the world properties as bookable with Hilton points and free night certificates, but also because they're adding more and more luxury properties to their collection. And in the comments of that post, Ted wrote, I'm going to be a cynic here. Noticed a lot of YouTubers are pushing the Hilton ecosystem in the past few weeks. Does Hilton pay influencers to do this?
Great question. A smart question to ask because, you want to question where your information is coming from and the influences that there might be on it. And I don't know, but I would bet probably they do pay some. I would if I owned the brand, pay people to say good things about me. But in our case, at least, we're not getting paid to create Hilton content. Our enthusiasm is just genuine. Both Greg and I have made a bunch of these SLH reservations because some of these properties just look amazing. Hilton has made some good changes, so we're excited and happy about it. I'm sure there are some influencers out there that do get paid to push the brand, and usually it's going to say hashtag ad or partner or something like that. So people should be disclosing that when that's the case. But that's not the case for us. It's not something that we're getting paid to talk about. It's just something that we're legit excited about.
Yeah, and I should say too, we've never published any articles that were sponsored by anyone. We've never been paid to write an article. We turn down offers to write articles for people all the time. If that ever changed, I don't think it'll change, but if that ever changed, you would see all over the post. This is sponsored. And so, yeah, you can trust that what we write is because if we say we're excited about something, it's because we're excited about it, not because we're getting paid.
Right, right. And we have done an episode before at some point when we talked about the business behind the blog, I think, or maybe it was just in your origin story. So if you're curious about how that works, then we'll have a link to that in the show notes, or at least a link to the post that Greg has written in the past about that, so you can understand how our blog works, how our site works, and what makes us a little bit different than some other sites anyway in that regard. So you can check that out and find out. But no, we're not getting paid by Hilton or anybody else to create content for them. All right,
Right.
so that's mailbag. Let's talk about this week's card talk, which is probably going to be changing soon and not be called card talk for much longer, right?
Yeah. So we made a decision. We're going to make some changes here. When when we do a full credit card coverage, that is when we intend to fully cover like all the details about a single credit card, we decided that would be better as a standalone show. We're going to break that out as its own thing. That way, if someone's interested in that card, they could just listen to or watch that show. And if you're not interested, you could just skip that show altogether to make that easier. But we're still going to have a segment in this slot to talk about credit card news. And so that's probably what we're going to call this going forward is card news. And that'll be for things like, there's a great new credit card offer out or there are changes to an existing credit card. And, maybe we've talked about the card before, but now there are changes to it. Things like that you can expect in this segment going forward.
Maybe we'll have to talk. Maybe we'll have to call it charged up. Like our charged up segment. So anyway, yeah, that's great. And so we're going to be talking about, and so definitely check out the Card Talk standalone segments that we're going to be publishing soon. That's going to be, I think, good and exciting and a positive change, and something where you can find exactly the info on the card you want rather than having to hunt through all of our podcasts to figure out on which one did they talk about that. We'll have individual episodes titled with those. So hopefully it'll be even easier for you to find the info you want on specific cards. But certainly there has been huge news this week. So if we are having a card news segment, this was the week to change it to card news, because there is big news on the Amex Gold Card.
Yeah. When we separately published a show about the rumored changes, well, to the Amex Gold Card, and the rumored changes now are live. They're exactly as they were rumored to be.
So true.
So so like, I think it's probably enough to just say it's all true, but maybe we should list out those big changes
Yeah,
really
if you didn't
quickly.
listen to the coffee break episode, then the annual fee is now increased. It's now $325 instead of $250. It was $250, but it increased by $75. Now, if you're an existing Amex Gold Card holder, then you will not see that $325 annual fee until your next renewal after October 1st, 2024. So if you've got a gold card and it's up for renewal soon, the good news for you is that the changes, the extra credits that are getting added are things you're going to be able to make use of, and you won't get hit with that $325 annual fee until your next renewal after October 1st. So that's good news for anybody who's around renewal time right now.
I can just hear thousands of people who have renewal on October 2nd groaning right now. No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we got one that renews in November, so I feel your pain. But for those who are existing card holders, the nice thing is you will get the new benefits. So speaking of new benefits, one of the things is you could request a new white gold card. You ready to run out for the new white gold card, Greg?
No, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't
Wouldn't
mind
judge.
it.
I don't know. It's just
By
a
the
new
way, by the
design.
way, that's also going to be available for the business gold card if you
Oh,
are interested in that card.
there
So
you go.
that's one of
So
the few
new
changes
design.
that go over to that one.
One of the things I like about the different designs, though, all jokes aside, is that if you have multiple cards in your household, the different designs can make it really easy to quickly visually know what's what. So I do like offering multiple designs of a particular card. So I like that. And I like that this one, I don't know, I didn't particularly like the platinum card redesign. So this one's, I think, a little nicer in my subjective opinion. But more important than that is that the card now has a $7 monthly Dunkin' Donuts credit or Dunkin' credit. So you should be able to, we think, maybe be able to use that by loading the Dunkin' app, I'm thinking. So $7 a month, $84 a year, and you get a $50 semi-annual Resy dining credit. And so Resy is a restaurant reservation service, but you don't actually have to make a reservation in order to use this. You just need to use your card at a restaurant that is included on the Resy platform. It must be a US restaurant on the Resy platform. So this won't work abroad. I assume that's probably because it needs to be charged in US dollars. So for those that really want to think outside the box, maybe if there are Resy restaurants in a country outside the US that uses US dollar as their primary currency, maybe it'll still work there, but it's the official terms are going to be
You
just in
know,
the US.
yeah.
4X at restaurants is now going to be limited to $50,000 in spend per year. 4X grocery, or US supermarket, I should say, remains as is. And the $10 monthly Uber crash that comes with the card, it, again, remains unchanged. And the $10 monthly dining credit continues to work for Grubhub and a bunch of other stuff, but Milk Bar and Shake Shack are now removed, and Five Guys is added now as an option for that. So all of that, I think, is immediate, right? That starts right away. So these
Yep.
changes
It's
dropped on the
already.
25th of July, 2024, and they're in place.
Yeah. One important note, if you already have the gold card, make sure to register for the Resi and the Dunkin' credits. So those are new things that you have to register for. And if you have a new gold card, go into the benefits section of your online account and just register for everything that it says to register for, or else you're not going to get those credits.
Glad you mentioned that. Yeah, there are a number of Amex cards that require enrollment in those benefits, so make sure you enroll. All right, so that all turned out to be true. We had a full coffee break episode just recently, so you can check out a link to that coffee break episode in the show notes where we talk about that card and those what were rumored changes and what we think about them. And keep an eye out because we're going to have a coffee break segment coming soon talking about, okay, well, what are the best cards for grocery and dining if you perhaps aren't happy with the new increase in annual fee on the gold card. So keep an eye out for that coming in a coffee break soon.
Yep.
But that's
And
not
now
it.
one more piece. No, it's
Yep.
not it. One more piece of card news. We previously had reported on details about the Wells Fargo Attune card that earns 4% on a whole slew of categories. Pretty much every category that no other bank thought to make a category is a 4% category of this card. And I remember during the show, I speculated that maybe Amazon.com purchases would give you 4% because it says it has a few
Bookstores.
categories actually
Bookstores is
that
something that
bookstores
was
and
listed.
also like online media or something like that.
Yeah,
So there were
something
a
like that.
couple
Yeah.
things that sounded like roughly like Amazon. And we have a report from a reader named Artiza who says that, yep, Artiza tried out the Wells Fargo Attune on an Amazon.com purchase, and sure enough, 4%. So
Boom.
that's good to hear.
Boom. Yeah, that's great. So of course, keep in mind that you could get one of the Amazon credit cards and they give 5% back, or you could buy Amazon gift cards perhaps in places that trigger category bonuses. So there are some other options to earn a decent return on Amazon, but it's really nice to know the Attune card bonuses that because man, that Attune card has such wide ranging Forex categories. We talked about that
That's
on a previous episode too. And so we'll make sure we link to the in the show notes to that episode as well so that you can check out more about that Attune card and we've written a post about it as well. So it's certainly one to keep an eye on.
absolutely.
All right, let's talk about what crazy thing did Southwest Airlines do this week or One
No,
Mile at a
no,
Time do this
no.
week? One Mile
It's
at a
the
Time.
crazy thing that 1 Mile at a Time did based on stuff that Southwest Airlines did. So Southwest Airlines has announced, or I don't know if announced is the right word, but anyway, they've let us know that a number of changes are coming. Such as they're going to start offering assigned seating instead of a free for all. They're going to add premium seating of some sort. We don't know what that'll look like, but some sort of premium seating. And they're going to add red eye flights as an option. They've never done red eyes before, overnight flights. Never done it before. Um, Initially, their technology didn't allow for it, and then when they upgraded their technology, their union contracts didn't allow for it. Now they're past both of those hurdles. And here's the crazy thing: is 1 Mile at a Time announces that part of news by saying Southwest Airlines red eye flights coming finally with an exclamation point. So
Uh-huh.
do we really think that Ben at 1 Mile Time has been like just waiting,
Waiting.
eager to take Southwest red eye flights? Is that what's
It
going
does
on
seem
here?
unlikely that he's been wet, but he's rooting for the rest of us that would take those flights. It's like finally, you guys are going to join the modern flying world.
I mean, I think it totally makes sense for Southwest to do that, but for anyone to be like excited
Excited,
with an
yeah,
exclamation point
yeah.
about
I'm
flying
not. I'm
Southwest
not
red eye,
excited. Let's be clear.
I'm not seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, so the red eye, the whole red eye thing, I know that it's been a big deal if they don't have them. I know it makes it inconvenient because there are like just itineraries you can't put together because of the fact that they don't have the overnight flights. But the prospect of flying overnight, I don't know. I guess the prospect of flying overnight in a domestic economy class cabin in general doesn't really appeal to me very much. I know people do it all the time, but certainly not with a family. And so I think actually what I dislike about these red eyes coming is that I feel like the flights that I want to take are going to get more expensive because the red eyes will be the cheap ones. And so now the
Right.
daytime flights that I want are going to increase in price. And so that's what I really don't like about this change personally.
Yeah. On the other hand, Southwest makes it pretty easy to do, as you've taught me, to do same day changes if you
That's
if you buy
true.
the right type of ticket.
It's true.
And so if these are less expensive, I agree with you, it's possible that it's just going to push up other fares. But if these are less expensive, it brings up more options to get cheaper flights and then same day change. So you're not doing a red eye, and then you can add the exclamation point back in.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, and what about you think about the assigned seating? Is that does that make you more likely? to fly Southwest? Because I know you don't usually fly Southwest. It's not your thing. Would you be more likely to fly it if you could get assigned seats?
I would. I just I haven't flown Southwest that much, but like the one time I did with a pretty large group, we had a connection. And so even though I can't remember if we had paid for like early boarding or whatever it was, but so we got good seats on the first leg, but then we ran to the to the gate
Yeah.
at the next leg and had to be like, I think we were last boarding the plane. Um, wasn't the end of the world, but I like I like knowing I'm going to be sitting next to the person or people I'm traveling with, and Southwest makes that harder to know.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, personally, I'm not excited about this, but I think I understand. I think that a lot of people don't like this, and this is the thing that keeps them from flying Southwest, or the reason why they don't fly Southwest anymore. So I think it's a very smart business decision. I do think that consumers in general want this and are willing to pay for it. So if I owned Southwest, I would totally do it. Personally, I like the way it works right now because A, I don't have to pay for a seat assignment, and B, I travel with young kids. And so Southwest allows families traveling with kids under 6 to board after the A group. So I'm in trouble in Greg's situation where I end up with a tight connection and have to run to the next gate because that's not going to help me if I've already missed the A and B group. But most of the time that doesn't happen. So most of the time I don't have to worry about checking in exactly 24 hours in advance. I can board after the A group and I know we're going to sit together, and we'll have the option to pick where we want to sit. I kind of like that, but I know most people don't. So I guess good job, Southwest. Unfortunately, I feel like those flights are going to cost me more now and make it harder for me to choose Southwest, even though that's what my family prefers to fly.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if the premium seating is actually premium in some way, like not just extra legroom seats, and if you can book into those with the companion pass, I think that's gonna be pretty exciting
Yeah,
for
that's
some
a
of
good
us
point.
that care about those things.
That's a good point. That's good. That might work out really well. Yeah. So we'll see. We don't, they kind of said that they're doing this, but they didn't give a date or anything yet, I don't think. So I'm not sure when this
Yeah,
is coming, but keep an eye out for it because it's going to be coming at some point. All right, that brings us to Mattress Running the Numbers. This week's Mattress Running the Numbers, we've got a Marriott promotion out. Vacations by Marriott Bonvoy is out with a promo to earn 25,000 Marriott rewards points, Marriott Bonvoy points on a booking of 4 nights or more, a vacation package, I should say, of 4 or more nights. So tell me about this, Greg. When is it? Where do I have to go? And how much do I have to spend in
yeah.
order to earn my 25,000 points?
Right. First, let me give a big picture. Vacations by Marriott is not Marriott Homes and Villas.
Hmm.
I was a little confused when
Yeah.
I first saw the head because I didn't know anything about Vacations by Marriott. I probably saw headlines, whenever it first was introed, and I promptly ignored them. But this is different. This is like those where you buy airfare plus hotel all at once. That type of vacation package, not a vacation home. So anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there because
It's important.
Marriott's
Yep.
Marriott's Homes and Villas has done promotions that sounded similar very recently. Okay, so in order to earn the 25,000 bonus points with this promo, you need to reserve your stay before the end of July, so of 2024. So you don't have much time to reserve it, and travel must be by the end of December of 2024. Okay, so that's
Okay.
the
Tight
and
window.
it's tight window. It appears from the terms and stuff that it could be any type of package as long as it includes 4 night stays. And I'm saying that because they let you book either air and hotel or car and hotel. And so if you're looking for a cheaper stay and not interested in getting airfare as part of this, you might be able to do a car and hotel package. The only caveat I'm going to say is the terms did say something like it's you're eligible to do this at all participating Marriott hotels, and they didn't say what they meant by participating. I think
Hmm.
what they mean is
Participating in
those that are
Marriott.
participating in Marriott vacations in
Hmm.
vacations by Marriott, not participating in this promo, but it's
Hmm.
not clear to me. So that's a little asterisk there. Also, I didn't like, unlike when the Homes and Villas did a promo like this, when you're checking out, you actually see it says on there on the checkout, you're going to earn, however many bonus points for this. This does not say that. So you're kind of left hoping that you did everything right. So don't like those things about it.
No.
No. Um, I hunted like around the world a bit for what's the cheapest package I could find. I did find one for about $260, like somewhere in South Africa, I think it was. Um, but it was hard to find that. And that was a hotel and car package, would probably work. Um, so let me turn that over to you, Nick, now. Is this mattress run worthy? Meaning it's worth booking this just for the earning the points. And oh, and you do earn elite nights as well, by the way.
Okay, so I'm gonna say probably not. I was going to go hard no, but I'll say probably not worth booking just for the points. Depending on how much you value the elite nights, maybe it starts to become a little more interesting. It's a good rebate. So 25,000 points. I know that recently Marriott points are on sale for 0.86 cents per point. So you could have bought 25,000 points for $215 in the most recent sale. So if you look at it that way and say, okay, the points, are a rebate of about 215 bucks. That's a really good rebate on a $260 stay. If you were able to find something like Greg's, cherry picked example there somewhere in South Africa that was 260 bucks, well, then for a net cost, so to speak, of about 45 bucks, you pick up 4 elite night credits. I guess. I mean, that's pretty good, but unless you know you need all 4 elite night credits, then I don't think I'd probably be worrying much about this. Although if you do find one, even that's $300 or $500, the rebate here is nice. It's a pretty good rebate. So between the rebate and the 4 elite nights, not bad if you find something that works. I'm not going to spend a lot of time like over the next couple of days that are left to book one of these to find one where I can use it during this small 6-month window. I think Marriott just made this too tight to make it interesting or worthwhile.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, if you're planning a 4 night stay anyway, it's absolutely worth looking into. Will this work for you? I mean, that's a really nice rebate. Even if if you're doing a paid rate at an even more expensive hotel, find out how much it costs to add in the car. If it doesn't
Right.
cost much to add in the car, getting 25,000 points on top of it may be very well worth it. One thing I don't know for a pure mattress run, what I don't know with this is would you get the points and elite credit even if you
If you
don't
don't
show
show
up to
up.
check in?
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I
know,
mean, yeah, you
uh,
can't count on
I
it. It's
don't
one of
know.
those things you can't, even if somebody has success with it, you can't count on it working in every situation, I feel like. So it's one of those things you have to be willing to gamble if you want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not a big enough reward, I think, for that gamble,
No,
in my opinion.
no, I don't think it's enough return for that either. I will say that Greg mentioned if you had a 4 night stay anyway, you should look and see. Maybe the car doesn't add very much. Maybe it's worth, because if you could add the car for $100, let's say, well, then maybe it's worth doing this so that you get the 25,000 points.
Yeah,
Similarly, even if you have like a 3 night stay, it might be worth making it a 4 night stay, even if you leave after 3 nights, depending on, again, what the difference in price might be. So it's worth checking that if you are planning a 3 or 4 night hotel stay in the next couple of months, then maybe it is worth you taking a look for a few
yeah.
minutes to see.
And of course, if you could use the rental car too, so much the
Right.
better.
All the better. All the better. Exactly. All right. So there we have it. Mattress running the numbers. It's not mattress run worthy, but it is a good rebate to check out if you think you're going to have a qualifying stay coming up. Probably not one that we're going to do ourselves. Speaking of things we may or may not do ourselves, let's talk about this week's award talk. So, for award talk this week, we've got some transfer bonuses going on. Citi has transfer bonuses through August 17th, 2024. They have a 20% transfer bonus to Wyndham Rewards. So, you have 1,000 Citi points would be 1,200 Wyndham points. And they have a 25% transfer bonus to Air France KLM Flying Blue. Same sort of a thing, 1,000 Citi points to 1,250 Air France KLM Flying Blue points. So, that looks pretty good, I guess, if you have an award to book, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both decent. I mean, Wyndham, I wouldn't do Wyndham unless you have a known need for the Wyndham points. Frequently, Wyndham points go on sale for around a penny or a tiny bit less than a penny each. And so this is still, better than cashing out your Citi points at a penny each and buying the Wyndham points. So, it's still decent, but it's not like getting huge value for your Citi points that way. Um, and then the Flying Blue, we see transfer bonuses Flying Blue pretty frequently, but I like that program. I mean, it has a lot of you often can get good deals through that program, and so that's one that I don't know if I was for some reason wanting to ditch my Citi cards and transfer out my points, I'd be willing to do it to Flying Blue.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and really, I don't. The Citi's other transfer partners, I mostly have access to all the Citi's transfer partners. The only one that I don't have easy access to is the Choice, the nice bonus that they have, the double, essentially 1 to 2 that they have to Choice. So that's the only other thing that I think is potentially a reason to give you pause to transferring in with a transfer bonus like this if you wanted to ditch your points anyway, I guess. But I would feel more comfortable ditching them to Air France Flying Blue. So this is certainly one to consider. We always tell people not to transfer speculatively. If you have a use in mind, that's the best time to do it. But like I said, if you're going to cancel your card, then this is one probably worth considering. Though on the flip side, we do, like Greg said, frequently see transfer bonuses to Air France KLM Flying Blue. So if you miss this one, chances are good there'll be another one in not too long. We rarely go more than a couple of months before somebody has a 25% transfer bonus to Air France KLM Flying Blue. So it's not the hottest thing since sliced bread, but not a bad deal either.
Yeah, let me add one more thing though that just occurred to me. If you're a
Uh-huh.
Rewards Plus
Oh,
card
good point.
pooled with your Citi Premier or Prestige card, um, and you haven't used up, so it'll give you just having that card means you get a 10% rebate on the points used for each year up to 100,000 points that you've used. So you get up to 10,000 points back. I could totally see saying my year, I don't see myself using my Citi points this year. I want to get that 10% rebate. So I'm going to transfer up to 100,000 of my Citi points to Flying Blue, get that 25% bonus, get 10% of my Citi points back. So you get 10,000 points back in that example. So yeah, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point because then that turns it into a bigger transfer bonus because essentially you're turning 90,000 Citi thank you points into 125,000 airline miles. So if I did the math right, I'm questioning, and it looks like a more than a 38% transfer bonus then that would be because your
Yeah.
90,000 becomes
Oh, you did it. Yeah.
125. So yeah, 39% transfer bonus. So that then yes, that's a great point. That would make it worth doing potentially even speculatively if you have that situation going on. Smart way to look at that. Okay, that's Citi, but that's not all of our award talk this week. You found some cool stuff with SLH.
Yeah, I just wanted to, basically remind people like if you looked at some SLH properties bookable through Hilton and found you no availability, keep looking. So we just saw some of the most desirable properties like Calala Island and Grand Hotel Victoria at Lake Como suddenly release a lot of award space. And so then you can use your Hilton points or free night certificates to book those. I like using tools like Rooms.Aero or MaxMyPoint to both see what the space available looks like. Um, and I talked about on an earlier show how to use Rooms.Aero to do that. And also to set alerts. So if you don't see the dates you need, use one of these tools to set alerts so that it'll let you know when those nights become available. Keep in mind that some hotels have a minimum stay requirement, like 3 nights is common, and Rooms.Aero makes it really easy to see when that's the case. So my point being that if you're setting alert in it for a hotel like that, it better be a 3 night alert, or else you're not gonna find anything.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
you found a bunch of availability at those places at times you wanted to travel, right?
I did. And in fact, I wrote about booking the Grand Hotel Victoria for when I need to travel. I wrote on our private Slack channel within our frequent miler team, and then Nick wrote back with the specific dates that he's going to be there. We found out that he's checking out literally on the day I'm checking in. What are
Tag,
the
you're it.
chances of that?
We'll have to get the picture out front, like tagging,
A high
slapping
five as
hands
we
there,
go
high
by each.
fiving, yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, and I think Greg wanted to be there even a little bit sooner, but because I've got 3 rooms booked, it was a little harder to find the availability even to arrive a day
That's
or two
right.
sooner. So so
Nick took my award. So, but I set up alerts. Who knows?
yeah,
Maybe
who
we'll be
knows? Who
overlap more.
knows? Yeah, fun times. It's funny because we don't usually plan those types of things, and that's happened, before. I guess where I've run into people that I didn't realize I was going to have booked, at the same time. So that'll be really funny that we just happened to have booked during the same week that place.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
without discussing it in advance. All right, so that's SLH. Check out for that, or check for those availabilities that you want to be able to book. Last thing for award talk, and I can't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but if I didn't, then we should definitely talk about it. And if I did, feel free to ignore it and move on. But that is that Autoslash triggers the altitude reserves real-time mobile rewards. So I recently booked a car rental. Now, that's something that in general does trigger real-time mobile rewards if you're booking a car rental with your altitude reserve card. And what I mean by real-time mobile rewards, if you don't know what I'm talking about here, is if you have a US Bank altitude reserve card, you can use your points for travel through the US Bank portal at 1.5 cents per point. That's not usually a great deal, though, because their prices through the portal aren't always very good. I don't like to book through a portal anyway, most of the time. However, one thing that you can do that's even better or more convenient is you can pay for travel directly. And in some cases, it'll trigger a text message for you to redeem your points via real-time mobile rewards. And when that happens, that's at a value of 1.5 cents per point towards travel if you're using it towards travel, towards the qualifying travel expenses. And the qualifying travel expenses tend to be US based. So US airlines, US rental car companies, et cetera. But we have found that there are some instances where a foreign airline will trigger real-time mobile rewards, for instance. We have a post about what works for real-time mobile rewards, so check the show notes for information about that. But my find here with Autoslash is that I was booking a rental car overseas through a company that I don't think exists in the United States. I'd never heard of the rental car company before. It didn't seem like they had any international chains there that I was familiar with. And so I was booking through Autoslash, and Autoslash had the option to do a pay now rate where I pay Autoslash right away. And it was still flexible. I can cancel up to 48 hours in advance. So I booked that and then immediately went to track it on Autoslash in case they find a better price. But much to my surprise, I booked through Autoslash again for a foreign rental car in a different country in a company that I don't think exists in the United States. And sure enough, I did get the text message from US Bank with real-time mobile rewards offering for me to use my points at 1.5 cents per point to cover that rental car. And so I did that. That's what I've been holding my US Bank altitude reserve points for, to kind of be my rental car reserve. So I thought that was great because the rental's not going to end up costing me anything out of pocket.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right. So now let's talk about this week's main event.
Main event time. How to gift free hotel nights. This topic is top of mind for me. My sister is about to celebrate a big birthday, and I asked her what she wants as a gift. And she said, how about a few nights at a resort? And I was
Nice.
like, that's right up my alley. I can do that easily. And then it's like, okay, of the many points and free night certificates and things I have,
Can you do
which
that
ones are
easily?
really options for this?
Yeah.
So I dug up a post we have about this, which we'll link to in the show notes, to figure it out. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. So at a high level, the rules vary by program. And so there's different ins and outs and what have yous. And we're going to discuss that by each program. But the basic simple approaches are: first, you could just gift your points to your friend or family member and let them book for themselves in some cases. Second option, you might be able to use your own points to book a stay for your friend. So you book your friend's stay using your points. You might, in some cases, be able to use your free night certificate to book your friend's stay. And finally, you might be able to gift a free night certificate to a friend. Now, I say might be able to because, of course, like I said, the rules vary by program. So we're going to dig into that a little bit and talk about what your options are with each of the major programs.
Sounds good. So let's start with just being able to gift your points to someone else so that they can then book the hotel on their own. Which programs allow that and which ones don't?
Well, Hilton Honors is one that allows you to gift points to somebody else. Each member can transfer up to 500,000 points per calendar year into a pool. So you can pool with up to 10 other people. And so each person can contribute up to 500,000 points to that pool. And each member of the pool is allowed to receive up to 2 million points per year. So if I wanted to give points to Greg, I can give him up to 500,000 points, and Greg can receive up to 200, or rather up to 2 million points per year. So that's pretty generous. That should make it possible to book a resort for a few nights if you wanted to do it that way.
For sure. Okay. What about IHG?
You can, but there are some caveats there, right? Because they want to charge you to do that, don't they?
Yeah, by default, they're going to charge you like half a cent each, which is crazy because that's how much they charge during sales to buy points,
Right.
at least during the
So if you
really
wanted to
good
pay
times.
half a cent, you could buy points during a sale because you can buy them as a gift for somebody. So you could just buy the
Yeah,
points.
and then keep the ones you have instead of gifting them.
Right.
Yeah. Luckily, there's two ways to circumvent that fee, right? One is if you're a diamond IHG member, you can gift your points to other people for free. They can't gift to you for free, but you can gift to them for free. Um, Even better, anyone registered with an IHG Business Rewards with that program can gift for free. And I'm
Hmm.
stressing anyone
Hmm.
because literally anyone can log into their IHG account and click a button to register for that, and you're done. Um, Now, the ability to gift for free doesn't happen immediately. Like you've got to wait some amount of time, which is written, I think, how much time. But after a few weeks or so, you should be able to then gift your IHG points for free, which is pretty darn cool.
So don't pay half a cent per point to do it,
No,
please.
don't do
Don't do
that.
that. Don't do that. That'd be crazy. It makes me wonder how many people do end up paying to do that every year without realizing that they could just click a button to do it for free. And it
Yeah,
stinks that IHG is taking advantage of that. But I guess if that makes it free for the rest of us, then just listen to this show and know you need to click that button so you can do it for free.
right.
All right. What about Marriott? Marriott lets you give points to other people, right? So you can give up to 100,000 points per year to other members, and an individual member can receive up to 500,000 points per year. So I try to keep this on my checklist at the end of the year because my wife has had a whole bunch of Marriott points for years. And so I try to remember at the end of the year to move 100,000 points from her account to my account. And I do it at the end of the year because I figure out if there's a reason to have the points in there throughout the course of the year, great. But if I get to the end of the year and we haven't yet, and there's still a couple 100,000 in there, then I'm going to move 100,000 over to my account because we usually book our Marriott stays through my account. So that's something to keep in mind. You can do that now online. It used to be years ago you had to call and it was only free if you had elite status, but that's not the case anymore. You can do this online for yourself, self-service. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, one of the rare changes that the Marriott Bonvoy program has made in recent years. That's just totally positive. Um, World of Hyatt. So yes, you can transfer points for free. Their technology is like 1990, circa 1990. Um,
There's
they
no
used to
IT
require
in Hyatt.
no. So there's a form to fill out to transfer points to someone else. They used to require faxing it. Luckily, they now allow emailing it to Hyatt to get this done. So it's not hard, but it's kind of absurd. Um, and
Yeah.
you can only send or receive points once every 30 days is the only limitation there. But I don't think there's any limit to how many points you can send or receive.
I don't think so. I think technically it's supposed to be in order to book a specific award, but nobody's ever asked me what we're moving points for, so I don't think there's any sort of problem there. And yeah, we've moved over large enough six-figure quantities without a problem before. So that shouldn't be an issue. The once every 30 days in or out can be kind of a pain if you're moving points with different family members a bunch, because again, once you move them out, you can't receive any or give any for another 30 days. So it locks you in both directions for 30 days. So that's a little bit annoying, but it's minorly annoying and probably not much of a hassle for most people. So it is nice that you can presumably move your points without any limit. So you could take care of whatever it is you want for somebody else in that way. So if you want to give your points to somebody, you could do that. And my wife and I, by the way, I should mention, do that because she has a World of Hyatt credit card and we've spent the 15K for the free night certificate the last couple of years, but I have the elite status with Hyatt. So it's not really all that useful to have points in her account. So instead, periodically she'll move points to my account because we're going to book awards out of mine anyway.
Yeah.
All right, what about a free night? So can you book a free night for somebody else using your points if you don't want to have to transfer the points to them and make them figure out how to do it? Because if you're trying to do this for a family member, I don't know, Greg's sister, maybe she doesn't even have a Hilton Honors account or a World of Hyatt account and doesn't want to learn how to create that, receive the points, and make the booking. Greg just wants to be able to do it for her, maybe. So which programs allow you to do that?
Yeah. So it seems like in many cases, you kind of need to do that by booking the stay and putting the other person in as some way, in some manner, putting that person in as the guest who's going to be checking in, and that manner varies by person.
By program.
So with Hilton, according to my notes here from the post that we have, that Hilton actually has a section in their online reservation that lets you add an additional name who can check in.
Yeah, it does specifically have that, so you can add additional names. And in fact, I think you can add a couple of names on if you're booking a larger room type with Hilton. So you can even add a couple of people on the room. So yes, that is simple, and it does, I think, explicitly say to add names to allow them to be able to check in. So
Perfect.
and I've done that enough times with Hilton and not had any sort of an issue there. So I think that's intended by Hilton there. What
Right.
about IHG Rewards Club? You able to
Uh,
book a room
so
for somebody? Yeah.
yeah, so our notes say yes. I can't remember the details. Can you put it in on the
Mhm.
online
Yep, you
system as
just
well?
enter the guest name with IHG. Yeah. So that one's
Mhm.
a pretty straightforward, simple one. You just enter whoever it is that's going to be staying. So you can book for somebody else that way. Although I did once run into a hotel that gave some pushback on this, oddly, but I think it's meant to be doable. So you can enter that name anyway on the online form. So should be good.
Okay. How about Marriott?
Marriott. So this is something that actually I was not familiar with the fact that Marriott does, I guess, allow this to happen. I thought that Marriott you could enter somebody else's name, but technically wasn't sanctioned. But there is a sanctioned way to do this, apparently.
Yeah, so they explicitly allow you to do this up to 5 times per year. So they have this strange limit there. You have to call to make this happen. But you do need to know that when you do that, neither the member booking or the person receiving the free night will earn elite night credit or elite benefit. And if the person gifting has elite status and the person receiving doesn't, you're not going to get elite benefits during that stay. I'm not sure that you're even going to be able to use elite benefits if you have them yourself or during the stay, but that's unclear.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. You can, but there is a limit, the max of 5 times per year. Now, do you know, I'm guessing probably not. I don't know the answer to this myself. If you can do it 5 times per year, does that mean for a total of 5 nights or 5 stays and each stay could be, presumably a week
I
long or
think that's
something?
for 5 separate stays.
5 separate stays. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So there you have it. You can do that with Marriott, apparently. So I haven't done that myself with Marriott that way. World of Hyatt. Can you book a stay for somebody else? Yes, you can. You can call and book a stay and gift it to someone else. Now, that's different than guest of honor. I'm not talking about guest of honor. Maybe we'll discuss that separately. But with Hyatt, even if you don't have any elite status with Hyatt, you can call and use your points and gift the stay to another person. So I've done this at a time when I only had Explorer status. I had no problem calling and gifting a stay to someone else. So that's nice. Hyatt makes it easy to do that.
They do. They do. And I guess since you brought up guest of honor, I think we should mention that
Yeah.
Hyatt has this thing called guest of honor, where it's a milestone reward. So the more nights you stay at Hyatt, you could get different like gifts or earn milestone rewards, and one of them is these guest of honor certificates, which they work differently than they used to. The way they work now is for a stay that you've booked, and if you have a guest of honor certificate, you could apply it to that stay, and you get treated as if you have globalist status, which is Hyatt's top tier status for the length of that stay. That means like if you booked with points, you get free parking. If you booked with cash, you get no resort fees. You get free breakfast. You get lounge access. All the goodies that you get as a globalist, you could get if you use that certificate. Now, the other thing is you can give that certificate to other people. And that's how it's more often used as that like you give the certificate to a friend, they attach it to their own reservation, they get all those globalist benefits, and you will earn one elite night credit if you gift that to someone else and they use it. So after they've used it, you get one. Doesn't matter how long their stay is, you only get one night. But that's guest of honor. So that's a really cool thing that doesn't really fit in the paradigm of any other hotel chain out there.
No, it doesn't. And it makes it really nice if you do have Hyatt Globalist status. I mean, you can give somebody a really nice gift because that's great. If somebody doesn't have elite status already, they not only get a free stay, but they get a whole bunch of perks that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And those perks can be really valuable in some places. If you gift a stay to somebody with a guest of honor at like, a nice property with a breakfast that might have cost $50 a person or something, parking that would have cost extra money, and they'll get late checkout and all that stuff. So I think that's awesome. It makes you excited as a Hyatt globalist to give that as a gift. It makes the gift even
It,
better. So
yeah, it really does. And it doesn't have to be part of gifting a stay. Like if someone has their
right,
own
that's
stay
true.
and you want to gift them something special, say, oh, I'm going to, wave my magic wand and make you globalist for that stay. And that could be really special depending on where they're staying.
Yeah, in fact,
So
I
that's,
just recently had a friend reach out who said, "Hey, I'm going to this city and there's two Hyatt properties. Do you have a recommendation between these two?" And I didn't because I hadn't been to either one of them. And he said, "But if you're going, I have guest of honor awards. Do you need a guest of honor award?" And he's like, "Oh, that would be awesome. I would totally choose this one then if that's the case." And so that worked out really well for him.
yeah, yeah. I actually gifted one to a friend who was had a stay in Costa Rica, and they had some weird things about their reservation where to the extent where the certificate was never actually used, but they got the globalist benefits during the stay, and then they applied the same certificate to a stay in California, and so that time it was
Awesome.
so, two for one gift there.
Awesome.
Um,
Two for one. Very
yeah.
good. All right, so that's using your points to book stays for other people. Now, what about can you use a free night certificate to book a room for somebody else? Because a lot of different programs have free night certificates. Can you give those away?
So it looks like with Hilton that you probably can. They have some pretty odd terms around the free night certificates, and they do say that you can redeem the free certificates for someone else, but once the certificate becomes issued to a person, it's non-transferable. Now, I tried to do that. Actually, my wife tried to do that to basically gift a free night certificate, like the use of one, to me. And at least two different online chat people couldn't really make that happen. They offered to put my name as the person who checks in. So in that way, you can do it. You can definitely use one for someone else so they can check in, but you can't really give the certificate to someone else for them to use.
Yeah, we somebody told us at some point they had done this, and so I had dug into the terms and found that the terms make it sound like it's doable, but yeah, we've run into pushback trying to do it also. You at the very least you should be able to add somebody else's name, and Hilton does seem to allow that and allow somebody else to check in. So it is for all intents and purposes possible to be done. But I think the stay is still going to end up under the user's name, the person who owned the certificate, unless you find somebody who knows how to do it, which may require a few phone calls if it's possible at all.
Yeah, so there might be a way to do it. We just don't know how. Now, full disclosure, what I was trying to do, what I'd hoped to do was have my wife book a fully cancelable stay with her certificates, but transferred to me in the process of booking that stay. The idea being, I hoped that if I canceled that stay, the
You would get the
certificates would end up
certificate.
in my account, and because that would make it simpler. Because mixing certificates across people, if you need to, for single stay, could be a challenge. So anyway, that experiment failed.
Well, did you only try chat though? Did you try a phone rep?
I did not try a phone rep.
Might be worth calling because if you have elite status, you're going to get routed to a different representative than probably you do with via chat.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, IHG is up next. What's up with IHG?
So I think it's sort of like what we said with Hilton. Basically you could use your free night certificate to book a stay with someone else as who's checking in. I don't think you could actually transfer your free night certificate to somebody else.
Yep, that's my understanding too. Marriott Bonvoy.
All right. Marriott's like a hard no. You aren't allowed to technically do that at all. Now, that said, I've had luck in the past using Marriott free night certificates booked in my name, and then when it comes time to check into the hotel, I message the hotel and say, hey, my sister in this example is going to be checking in first. Please put her name in as someone who can check in, and then she shows up and can check in no problem. I've only done that in the United States. Some people have had trouble with that kind of thing internationally in some places. So be careful about where you try to do that.
Yeah, so with Marriott especially, I think that can be an issue, but also I think sometimes with the other programs where you have to add another person's name, that is an important caveat that internationally sometimes they're more particular about uh, both people showing up. So there is some amount of risk there if you're just adding someone as an additional guest. All
Yeah.
right,
So it's
Hyatt.
a little different
Okay,
whether the
sorry.
program allows you to specifically put someone else as the main guest or if they're listed as an additional guest, whether or not they would insist on the primary being there.
Yep.
Um, all right. Finally, Hyatt. So we've got some good news there.
Yeah, that one's really easy. Yeah, you can give your free night certificate to someone else, and nowadays you can just do it online. You can send it right to them. Simple. Just type in their World of Hyatt number or whatever. It's right under the awards in your account, and there's a button to transfer it to somebody else. Super duper easy. And that's nice because I mentioned before that my wife has completed the 15K spend on her World of Hyatt credit card. So she's earned her category 1 to 4 free night certificate and was able to transfer that to me so that I could redeem it and we could use my globalist benefits when we do redeem it. So that's
Yeah.
certainly a great program feature. Hyatt makes it really easy there. So while we did chide Hyatt a bit on their IT for transferring points, I've got to say they make it really easy to be able to move free night certificates and in general, really easy to book awards for other people. They're probably the best out of the bunch here.
They recently like changed their program to make sharing like a sort of a core component of
Yeah.
their program, except for with points where they still have that antiquated system, but at least it's still free. So let's talk about which program is best for sharing free nights. I mean, I don't think we even have to debate this. Hyatt is
Right.
obviously number one. They nail every one of those categories we talked about. What about number two?
I think number two,
Second?
I would probably have to give it to Hilton because you can pull so many points per year. They make it relatively simple to pool points. I say relatively because in my experiences, the pooling has not happened instantly, and that's the most annoying thing to me. I want the points to move right away. I hate that sometimes it takes like days with no real reason why to move the points over. So that's the one caveat there, but I've never run into a problem booking a Hilton property and adding someone as an additional guest. In fact, when I've called to try to transfer a certificate like that, they've explicitly told me they could just add that person's name to check in. So I think they're the second most user friendly for this. At least that's what I would say. I don't know. Do you agree, disagree? What do you think?
You know what? I think we could probably all agree that Marriott is last, just because how the rules about the free night certificates are so
Yep.
stringent. But I think I would give the edge by a tiny margin to IHG.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any limits. I could be wrong, but to transferring points for free with IHG. Now the Hilton limits are very high, so they're not a big problem, but sometimes you need to do some
Sure.
sort of creative work to get around them. And in the past, now it's been a long time, but in the past, I've been able to um, transfer a free night booking to someone else entirely, where it was like somehow they moved it to that other person's account altogether. The booking, not the certificate. And that was pretty good. Would that still work today? I don't know, because this was probably 5 or more years ago, but that was pretty cool that they allowed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Radisson used to be great for this too, back before they were acquired by Choice, because they would make it really easy. You could just put it in somebody's name and it was very explicit and
Yeah.
easy to book for somebody else. So that was, and they also used to allow points moving, but that's one of those things back in the old days. They are no
Right.
longer their own program. So, so much for that. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of this week's main event, right? Oh, you know
Yep.
what? Let me back up because there's one more that we didn't mention, and maybe it wasn't in the post, and maybe that's why, but that's Wyndham Rewards. And so Wyndham Rewards, I don't know about point sharing. I don't think there's a way to share points directly, although you can move your Wyndham Rewards points to Caesars and at a Caesars rewards desk. A couple, a married couple, for instance, can move points back and forth on the Caesar side, and then presumably you could move them back to Wyndham. So there's sort of a roundabout way to do that with a partner, not really an easy way to gift your points to somebody else. But I know with Vacasa Vacation Rentals, at least, you can indeed book a Vacasa Vacation Rental for anyone you want using your Wyndham points. It doesn't have to be for you. So if you're looking to book a vacation rental for somebody else, Wyndham is a great program for that because you can do that with Wyndham. I
Yeah.
don't know about
Great.
regular hotel stays with Wyndham. I have not looked into that. Okay, that brings us, I guess, to this week's question of the week. And this week's question of the week came in because we had a reader on Facebook who said that they heard something on a recent coffee break segment where we were talking and we mentioned Amex family rules. And then she was wondering where she could find a link to more information. So this week's question is going to seem like a softball, but it's one I think we ought to talk about actually with a little bit of detail. So if somebody hears us talk about something, Greg, and they want more information, how can they find links and more information?
Yeah. So, I mean, in general, you want to check the show notes, and because we try to put links to whatever we're talking about, if we have sort of one-to-one links in there in the show notes. But the other thing you can do, and I personally do this all the time, is whatever the topic is, I'll Google frequent miler space whatever the topic is and see what posts come up in the Google search results. And that's how I could get to frequent miler resources about that topic. And that's what I would do in this example. Probably, to be honest, even before checking the show notes, I'd probably do that because it's so quick. I would be like Google frequent miler family Amex family rules.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. And
Post.
so I wanted to bring this up because that seems intuitive to anybody who's been doing it, but not necessarily to somebody who doesn't do it that way, I realize. In fact, that was the exact example I provided. I said, for example, you could Google frequent miler Amex family rules or family language, whatever it was, and you'll find our post about it. And that reader responded and said, I never thought to put frequent miler at the beginning of the Google search, and I'm going to do that from now on. And I was like, well, yeah, I do that all the time, but that's because I do it all the time. And so I realized maybe other people aren't, because sometimes people do say, I searched for this, but I couldn't find it. And I'll often ask, what they did to search just because I want to know how people are trying to find things so we can make it easier to find. But certainly a tip, if you're not familiar with it, is yeah, Google frequent miler plus whatever miles and points topic you want. Google's pretty good at finding the frequent miler post about it. So I wanted to get that tip out there for anybody who's not doing that already. When you're like, oh, I can't remember what are the Marriott Bonvoy credit card rules? Well, just Google frequent miler Marriott credit card rules, and Google's going to get you there. They're going to get you to our site and our resources about it. So if we talk about something in passing and you're like, I didn't quite understand that, I want more information, I can't remember which episode it was on, then Google is your friend there with frequent miler at the beginning of it. Okay, hopefully that helps somebody out
Yeah,
there
and
find something they're looking for.
I want to say one more thing about that. If you're one of the three listeners that are Bing users, Microsoft Bing search engine, for some reason Bing divorced us like the beginning of this year. And I'm not kidding. You could search frequent miler and just about anything. It'll come up with other blogs, not ours. It'll come up with our YouTube, shows, but it will not show our blog posts.
That's
And
so
I do
weird.
not understand that.
That's so
So
weird.
we've
So
even,
yeah.
yeah, it's so weird. I've put in, Bing has a way to say index this site, and I put that in months ago, and it still hasn't changed. So I have no
Yeah.
idea what's going on there.
So if you're a
If you work for
Microsoft
Bing,
Edge
please
user,
fix
yes, if you work for Bing, get on it. Reach out to us
that.
and help us figure out what we can do to make it easier for you, to make it easier for other people to find frequent
Yeah,
miler. So
we want to be back. We want to be back to Binging.
back to binging. All right. So there you have it. That's all the news fit to print for this week. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to get more in your email inbox each day or each week, go to frequentmiler.com/subscribe to join our email list. Follow us on social media. Join our Frequent Miler Insiders Facebook group so you can ask and answer questions like these all the time. And if you have a piece of feedback that you'd like to be considered for a future giant mailbag or for a future question of the week segment, you can send that too.
Send it to mailbag@frequentmiler.com. Bye, everybody.